Why don't we have a doctor or doctor's assistant, really, that enables a human doctor to always know every possible best treatment, and then based on their current situation, what the inventory is, which country is, how their insurance works, what is the best way to treat that patient? Those are relatively achievable solutions. Why don't we have them? If you just did education and healthcare globally, the impact in terms of lifting human potential up would be so great, right, that it would change everything. It wouldn't solve the various other things that we complain about, this celebrity or this misbehavior or this conflict or even this war. But it would establish a level playing field of knowledge and opportunity at a global level that has been the dream for decades and decades and decades.
Chuck me that perfect TED. One of the things that I think about all the time, because my life is quite hectic and busy, is how to manage my energy load. And as a podcaster, you kind of have to manage your energy in such a way that you can have these articulate conversations with experts on subjects you don't understand. And this is why Perfect TED has become so important in my life, because previously, when it came to energy products, I had to make a trade-off that I wasn't happy with. Typically, if I wanted the energy, I had to deal with high sugar, I had to deal with jitters and crashes that come along with a lot of the mainstream energy products. And I also just had to tolerate the fact that if I want energy, I have to put up with a lot of artificial ingredients, which my body didn't like. And that's why I invested in Perfect TED and why they're one of the sponsors of this podcast. It has changed not just my life, but my entire team's life. And for me, it's drastically improved my cognitive performance, but also my physical performance. So if you haven't tried Perfect TED yet, you must have been living under a rock. Now is the time. You can find Perfect TED at Tesco and Waitrose or online, where you can enjoy 40% off with code DIARY40 at checkout. Head to perfectted.com. This is quite interesting. 85% of internet users have heard of VPNs, but only 55% know what they do. If you're in that group, let me explain. VPNs enable your location online to differ from where you actually are geographically, to help you browse and stream sites that would otherwise be unavailable to you. I use NordVPN, who are a sponsor of this show, to watch Manchester United games online no matter where I am in the world. And Indy from my team uses them whenever she's booking flights back home to New Zealand. Having a different online location means she can take advantage of dynamic pricing and get cheaper prices for her flights. NordVPN is the fastest VPN in the world, and just one account can be used across 10 devices. And they've shared a generous offer for my listeners, a discount and 4 additional months free on a 2-year plan. It's also completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So head to nordvpn.com/DOAC or click the link in the description below. Throughout the pandemic, I've been a big supporter. It was a contrarian view, but I think it's now less of a contrarian view, that companies and CEOs need to be clear in their convictions around how they work. And one of the things that I've been criticized a lot for is that I'm for having people in a room together. So my companies, we're not remote. We work together in an office, as I said, down the road from here. And I believe in that because I think of community and engagement and synchronous work. And I think that work now has a responsibility to be more than just a set of tasks you do in a world where we're lonelier than ever before. There's more disconnection, and especially for young people who don't have families and so on, having them work alone in a small white box in a big city like London or New York is robbing them of something which I think is important. This was a contrarian view. It's become less contrarian as the big tech companies in America have started to roll back some of their initial knee-jerk reactions to the pandemic. A lot of them are asking their team members to come back into the office at least a couple of days a week. What's your point of view on this?
So I have a strong view that I want people in an office. It doesn't have to be all one office, but I want them in an office. And partly it's for their own benefit. If you're in your 20s, when I was a young executive, I knew nothing of what I was doing. I literally was just lucky to be there. And I learned by hanging out at the water cooler, going to meetings, hanging out, being in the hallway. Had I been at home, I wouldn't have had any of that knowledge, which ultimately was central to my subsequent promotions. So if you're in your 20s, you want to be in an office because that's how you're going to get promoted. And I think that's consistent with the majority of the people who really want to work from home have honest problems with commuting and family and so forth. They're real issues. The problem with our joint view is it's not supported by the data. The data indicates that productivity is actually slightly higher in when you allow work from home. So you and I really want that company of people sitting around the table and so forth, but the evidence does not support our view.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that true?
It is absolutely true.
Why is Facebook and all these companies rolling back their, and like Snapchat rolling back their remote working policies then?
Not everyone is. Most companies are doing various forms of hybrids, where it's 2 days or 3 days or so forth. I'm sure that for the average listener here who works in public security or in a government, they say, well, my God, they're not in the office every day. But I'll tell you that at least for the industries that have been studied, there's evidence that allowing that flexibility from work from home increases productivity.